It's my first day training on a new job in Trinidad and Tobago. First day. Yeah. Eat real quick and get to work. Yo. Okay. Should do Djeli Tigre. Still, of course, dealing with these cars. Loud cars. Here's every single car. But let's get into day 12. Day 12. Kind of an extension of day 11. Where day 11 ended, day 12 started, basically. Because the party or the fete was at 3 a.m. That's what time it started. So I got off work maybe about midnight. Took a nap. Didn't mean to take a nap because I wanted to get out sooner so I could get there earlier. But it all worked out. I woke up probably about 2 o'clock. I might have got to the house at like 1-ish, 12:31-ish. Something like that. But I woke up like around 2-ish. Around 2-ish. And I was, struggling to get up because I had, like I said, I need to be getting more sleep. But so I basically left out the house and it started storming right when I left out. When I got to the street where I needed to catch a taxi to go into town to catch another taxi. Well, to catch a taxi to go to Shiguanas, then catch another taxi to go into town, and then catch another taxi to go to the actual fete. But when I went to the corner, it started raining like crazy. And keep in mind, it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. And this place, I don't want to say it's like in the boonies, but, there wasn't too many cars driving on the road. So I basically waited like 15, 20 minutes before any car basically came, like any taxi. And once eventually a taxi finally came. And I was like, oh man, I was thinking I was gonna be like crazy late for this event. If I was even gonna make it, because it was still storming and raining like crazy. But I got in the taxi, got there. The last taxi that I took, I don't know. I just try to be on my P's and Q's and try to be, prepared for whatever, danger or whatever. But we drove to the party or whatever. 2 people that were in the taxi with me. I think he dropped them off in Laventille. And if it was Laventille, it's really interesting because it was basically one way in and one way out the street that we were on. Because even on the streets, there were cars on the streets that were kind of like blocking. It was like, I don't know how to explain it, like for a certain amount of time on the street, all the cars were on the left. Then in the middle, it switched to where all the cars were on the right. So it was like you had to swerve, like you drove up and then you had to switch and get over to the other side, and then you had to switch and get back over to the other side. But anyway, it wasn't a two lane. I mean, it was a 2-lane street, but the street was like blocked. So in order to get back out, the driver had to back up. That's how tight it was. It wasn't no, turn around and then come back. You had to back up and then sort of turn around. And it was like right on the hill, on the ledge. It was wild. It was interesting. But I think for the hours that we were there, Laventille was kind of quiet. Like being up there in Laventille around 3 a.m., I think most of the people were kind of asleep. Some people were up. We saw something, but as far as like, I don't think we were like deep in Laventille. But it was interesting. But anyway, got to the fete. It's 3 a.m. People outside chilling with their coolers, drinking, whatever. Like, still raining. And I get inside the fete, and it's pretty interesting. There's shots, which I need to stay away from. But I didn't have a cooler because I don't really know nobody here, so I'm not pulling up in no car with no cooler and with stuff. Like, so basically, I had to depend on the shots. And if anybody knows me, when I'm on shots, it's not great. Even some of the women I saw on Twitter, even some of the women said, and I know I get like this a little bit, but sometimes I get a little too aggressive with my dancing or whatever. And I think, of course, it comes with being drunk. I think that's anybody, not just me. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, who knows how the alcohol is going to affect you. But other than that, I'm just like a fun-loving person that just is carefree, trying to have everybody turn up and have fun. I do a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, I climbed the scaffold or the railing or whatever on the side of the stage. I climbed in the middle of the stage, not stage, but in the middle of the crowd. They had like this structure that sprayed water. Yeah, I don't even know what you call it. It was just like almost like a pavilion or like a, what do you call those things? I can't remember. But anyway, it was like, it had 4 legs, and then it had like the bars and stuff that connected all the legs or whatever, and then it had little sprinklers on them. But I climbed that. I was doing a lot. I was on stage. Well, not on stage, but like on top of the speakers in front of the stage. So, in the grand scheme of things, the fete was kind of lit. I'll say I'm not really impressed with the fetes here, and I think the main reason I'm feeling like that is because I set the bar too high for Trinidad. I was expecting it to be more worthless behavior going on. I expected the people to be more wild, when in actuality they're really no more wild than, or I would think that Americans are probably a little more wild than, you know, people here. I wouldn't say more wild, but it's like even. Like, people here don't really turn up like that for real. People in America don't really turn up like that for real. So it's similar in that aspect. Like, I'm the wild one. Everybody else not really that wild. And I guess it applies for America and here. I think the only difference is here, when people get these cars make it so hard to record this thing. But when people here get wild, it's more of a, you know, a good thing, as opposed to in America. I won't even say it's a good thing, because security definitely doesn't like it. but they don't necessarily like try to kick you out and shit. They just be like, get out, before you hurt yourself or whatever, stuff like that. But the people, the crowd basically loves it. Whereas in America, it might be seen as like a problem. And sorry, when y'all see me make those faces, it's because of these cars. But yeah. So like the parties, the fetes and stuff, that just like America. We do the same stuff in America, in New York and LA. In New York and Miami, somewhat in Atlanta. Like I think one of the artists jumped off the stage and was crowd surfing. I've seen that online happen in Miami. I think I've seen it happen in New York. I think I've seen it happen in different clubs in America. Like, so it's nothing. I was expecting it to be more wild here. That's all. So I need to lower my expectations for what Trinidad, fetes are. But all in all, the fete was a good fete. I think it was, if I'm comparing it to like American fetes and just normalcy, it was good for a normal fete. Like as far as like being on a whole nother level, it really wasn't. Other than the fact that they played nothing but soca, that's dope. Like a lot of the American parties that throw in some reggae or throw in some hip hop, I don't want to hear all that. I just want to hear soca. That's it. So it was nothing but soca all day, all fete, which was great. So in a sense, that was a little better. But yeah. So I think what else? So after that, at the end of the fete, of course I'm drunk as shit, and something happened. I was drunk. I didn't really know what was going on, but I was, basically kind of like trying to get a taxi, I think. And I was talking to the driver of the taxi, but I think somebody was in the front seat and the door was open, so I'm talking to the driver, trying to figure out, if he was going where I was going and all that kind of stuff. And then some guy comes up and runs up on me. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on with you, boy? Like, I don't know you. Like, what you even, like, coming at me with all this aggression and shit for? And apparently, after everything died down, security came and kind of, like, broke us up. But it wasn't, like, security guards. It was, like, the people that they hire. They have police officers, then they have security, and then they have, like, people that they hire to kind of be like security, like the ones that don't have weapons and all that kind of stuff. You might see them in arenas or stuff like that, like just like regular people that are just there to kind of like help without security having to do too much work. But they came and they kind of like de-escalated the situation before any pushing or shoving or anything could happen. And me being out here by myself, I was ready to do what I needed to do to protect myself. But after we jumped in the taxi, and all of this is happening while I have food in my hand. So I didn't know what was going on. Like, but I'm just trying to eat. But I jumped in the taxi. Security basically, the people that de-escalated the situation, they basically was explaining to me that the guy was in the taxi basically, and he was probably concerned that because his wife stuff was in the taxi, and I think their stuff was in the taxi basically, and in the grand scheme of things, I look, with my hair being like this, I guess there's this, there's a stereotype out here of what criminals look like, and I look like it basically. So because I look like the criminal stereotype, that caused him to be upset, which is really interesting. But as I made my way back, I passed out in the taxi. Not only did I pass out, I ended up taking the wrong taxi back. Well, actually, what happened is I took a taxi to Port of Spain, then took a taxi from Port of Spain to where did I take it to? To Chaguanas. I got to Chaguanas and I ended up taking a taxi back to Port of Spain because I was too drunk. And somebody told me that this taxi was going back to, was going where I needed to go, which was Chase. Yeah. So anyway, I ended up going back to Port of Spain and got turned around, then came back up here. And when I came back up to Chaguanas, I can't remember what I did, but I got Wi-Fi, and I get a message from Nikki saying, basically talking about contributing more. Some of the stuff I was doing was disrespectful, all that, whatever. And for me, that's the last thing I want to do is offend somebody that's trying to help me. And so I could definitely understand. And I basically want to do as much as possible to help. Even with me not having a lot of money or not having money in general. But yeah, and the other part I think of the contributing was, I think she said something about and it's like most people, you've been screwed over before, so now you're kind of worried about the next person screwing you over, or trying to get over on you, and I understand that fear. So all I can do is try to do the best I can to help and contribute as much as possible. I don't know how, but do the best I can, especially since I have a job now, so I can kind of hopefully help. Yeah, but I really, and I just want to say this and be done with it because it's almost 20-minute video, but I really been feeling like a burden in a sense. I kind of expressed that to Nikki, but so I've been trying to stay out the house as much as possible, not use their internet, not really eat their food. They need their food, they need their internet, they need their electricity, their water. So I just try to stay out the house, and anything I need to do, I try to do outside the house as much as possible. other than maybe sleep. And to be honest, I only feel I only really feel comfortable when Nikki is here. So I try to really just stay gone from the house as much as possible until she's here. Yeah. So that was day, what did I say? That was another 12. See y'all. Love y'all. Peace.